Welcome to Coaching and a Cuppa, where we have conversations about coaching with other coaches. My name is Leslie Miserak with Get Courageous Coaching. We offer leadership, confidence, and retirement coaching. Thank you so much for joining us today. Let's take a listen. Hi, I have on Zoom with me today Daniel Botero. He is the founder of Opny, as you can see in the background on his fantastic wall back there. I love it, Daniel. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. Anytime I have a chance to have a conversation with you, it's the highlight of my day. I love you.
Oh, you're so sweet. You are so sweet. Well, before we get started, there are really important things we have to do. We have to find out what's in your cuppa today. So what are you drinking?
Cheers. Black coffee. I love
Black.
coffee and black coffee. It's my go-to drink every morning.
Okay, well, I'm the opposite. I'm an iced tea girl. So I've got my iced tea and my brand new fun little Valentine Starbucks cup. So cheers.
Cheers.
So, Daniel, thank you so much for joining me today. And you have your company, Opny, and you and I met, I want to say 8 years ago. It's been a while now, hasn't it?
It's 2018.
2018, so 6, 7 years. And at that point, you were really thinking about your business and getting your business off the ground around kind of helping college students find their career and coaching them through the process and all of that. Am I remembering this correctly?
That's right. My business actually used to be called Mastering College to Career.
That's right. Yeah, and that's how you got started. So tell me about the evolution of mastering college to career to where you're at today with Opny.
So when we met and through mutual friends through Sherm. And at
Mhm.
that time, I had just left my corporate PepsiCo job and I wanted to be a public speaker. And I remember, and my goal was to go speak at universities. And prior to me leaving my corporate job, I had already spoken at 200 universities, but it was all for free, like going there for like campus recruiting. I was representing PepsiCo. And you then introduced me to Francis, who then led to me writing a book because it was a good way to continue your public speaking career. And I don't know if you remember all these details, but so we met in 2018. I then wrote the book in early 2019. I launched it. I remember you coming to my book launch party in fall
Mhm.
of 2019. I then went to go to this conferences called APCA, where you get in front of all these university administrators and SGA to go get booked to go speak at universities. And this is fall, like November of 2019. And I don't know if you remember this, but I had about 6 universities that said, "Hey, yes, we'll book you to go speak." But what we didn't realize at this time, this was COVID-19, right? So
Yeah.
fall of 2019, all my speaking events were for spring and fall of 2020. All of that was canceled, and so I was kind of forced to pivot because no one was hiring public speakers.
Yeah.
Everything went to virtual, where we were now doing Zooms. Universities who already didn't have a budget, a lot big budget for speaking, were eliminating everything they can. I was then said, okay, what do I do? I decided to make my book, which is this is the book, right? Master College
Yep.
Career,
I still
into
have mine.
into an online program. And one of the things that I realized is that when I would speak, I would get 2-3% of people like max that will still be implementing the things that I spoke about. A couple of weeks later, if let's say somebody reads the book, let's say 20% of people actually go and execute that. And I say, what about how do we continue to increase execution? Long story short, we made it a program where we did a lot of more one-on-one, a lot of more coaching, a lot of more like individual support, still based on the strategies of the book. And that continued to increase the execution rate. And so that ultimately led our business to really scale up. We then niched down even further from not just any college students, but in particular international students with STEM majors who were very
Right.
technically gifted, but had not so good people skills or soft skills or communication skills. And then from there, realized that from having a podcast called How to Get a Job, which you've been a guest in, and interviewing over 350 coaches, I realized that most coaches were fantastic coaches, but were struggling to actually make a living from their business, which then that
Mhm.
led to me kind of rebranding to Opny. And now I spend 80%, 90% of my time working with coaches on how to scale and build a program that's scalable, impactful, and profitable.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that trajectory. Yeah, I remember pretty much every step along the way. And yes, that shutdown in early 2020 with COVID was a big pivot for all of us. And you did an amazing job taking that pivot and growing something really, I think, masterful out of it. So kudos to you.
It looks cooler when you look back, but it wasn't.
Uh-huh.
It was, I mean, it was scary, ups and downs. Like yeah, it was a leap of faith, and looking back at it, it worked out really well, but um, it could have easily not worked out.
Yeah, totally, totally. But you are the I would say the king of perseverance. And if you feel like something's going to happen, you're going to make it happen. So I love that about you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. So thank you again for sharing that. So as you think about kind of where you're at today, tell us about your model. And this is coaching in a cuppa, where we talking with coaches and having conversations about what they're doing. And when I asked you to join, you totally jumped, and I appreciate that. I think there's so much value in you letting folks know, other coaches, anyone know, about what you do and how it benefits them, and maybe some success stories.
Yeah. Well, so, and I obviously went through it really fast, but I have this podcast called How to Get a Job, right? And shameless
Mhm.
plug, but in that podcast, I would interview coaches, and a lot of them were career coaches. And what ultimately I found out is that a lot of coaches have great experience, corporate
Mhm.
experience, great certifications, so just have really good experience. But to have a successful business, experience is not enough. Like that, even if you
Mhm.
have 20 years as a director of HR, that doesn't mean that you're going to be have a good coaching business. Um, and that's mainly because the business model of coaching it continues to evolve and change, especially with the social media game. Um, and so what ultimately I realized is that I was speaking with such incredible, remarkable people, and a lot of the people I'm sure you even see on LinkedIn and stuff like that. But what happens there is that they are not being able to fully monetize their knowledge, right? They're used to maybe make six figures or multiple six figures in corporate, and now they're struggling to even make that in revenue in their coaching business, and they don't know where their next client is going to come from, right? And as you know, it takes a long time to build a referral business, right? So like,
Mhm.
and so you can eventually get to a point where you get enough referrals coming in, but even then it doesn't become as predictable. So it can be very stressful. And so if you have all this experience and you have companies that come to you and ask you for jobs, what I started to see is that a lot of my favorite coaches were going back to corporate, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of like broke my heart because I was like, I think, uh, more people deserve good coaching. And so what I realized is that it wasn't that I needed to help them with resumes or interviewing or coaching. Like, in fact, it was the quite opposite. It was like, how do I help them build a business model that I had kind of figured out through the hard ways of, to your point, that I persevered. Like I had the grit, which many coaches
Mhm.
would have quit before figuring it out. So it's not that I'm smarter than any other coach. It's just like maybe I was in a position to continue pushing forward because I didn't have a family. My wife had a good job. I had the luxury to go through my 401k, through my savings. It just took me a long time to figure out. And so ultimately, what we did is that we packaged a business model on how to get clients, how to convert those clients into a program that's more than just trading time for money, how to ultimately get referrals, how to grow your business. And that's led to us helping over 36 coaches last year building multiple six-figure business. Half of them were working part-time, and a lot of them are now working full-time as coaches because they're now able to replace their corporate job and are generating. Our average coach during working with us makes over $16,500 a month. Um,
Mhm.
and that's incredible because before they came to work with us, they were making less than $6,000 a month. So like, many times with 3x the revenue, and now they have security, and now they can see a long-term path in coaching. And that's what's exciting to me.
That's great. Is there anything, because you talked about that perseverance and grit, is there anything else that you think is really important for coaches to have? Because you know what, I will say I've seen a lot of coaches come and go in the business, and they're some of them are fantastic coaches, I mean,
Hmm.
well certified,
doing great work, and but not everybody's a business owner, and there is a difference between being a coach and being a business owner, right? Taking that perspective is completely
Yeah.
different. Is there anything you look for in selecting who you want to work with, who you think is going to be able to really be successful?
Well, one, they have to have the experience to be a good coach. So I will now go and take a person who just graduated college yesterday and wants to build a 7 million a 7-figure business, and they don't have that experience. So I think like for me, like we're very good at like it's like, are they a good coach by themselves? Do they have a background? Like have they walked the walk before they're trying to teach somebody how to do that? That's important to us. Aside from that, what I feel like gets in the way of most very experienced coaches, to your point, is that they're sometimes not as coachable as they are coaching, right? And it's because they think they know it all and they have really good experience in corporate, but the way you do things in corporate is very different than you do this in the entrepreneurship world. So if you have that experience and you can like say humble enough and say, hey, let me just learn how it's done in this small business world where you will wear all the hats, where you have limited resources and time, and are willing to execute the plan, then those are the ones that get the most success. But if you're always thinking that you need to innovate or like reinvent the wheel, then you're always reinventing the wheel and you actually never get the traction before you end up wanting to get burnt out and quit.
I love that. I love that. Um, as you think about your specialty, what do you bring to the table? What does your group bring to the table? You and your group bring to the table that really differs from other people that might be in a similar space?
So I don't know what other people are doing. I can tell you what we're doing, right? And I think for
I love that.
us is we think about how to give you systems and process to generate predictable results. So we're very data
Hmm.
analytic. So we know exactly that if you get 40 leads a week and you invite 40 of them to a workshop, a masterclass, and then out of those 40 people, 20 show up. Out of those 20, 10 schedule a sales call. Out of those 10 people that schedule a sales call, 2 become clients. It becomes an equation. It becomes a math, right? So
Hmm.
we're very analytical. So I think what we bring is a predictable system that generates predictable results. And from what we hear from our clients, that's what they want. They want predictability. They want to know where their next client is coming from. Yes, some months might be $20,000 a month or more. Some might be 15, but it doesn't vary from like feast and famine. So because of that, we focus a lot on systems and processes to generate predictable results.
I love that. And I would say, as a coach, I'm coming on my 10th anniversary having a business. And as a coach, systems and processes are probably the most difficult thing. And it's taken the longest amount of time to perfect the way we do things. So I
Yeah.
completely see where you're coming from. Are there any success stories you'd like to share? Obviously, not giving names,
Yeah.
but are there any stories that you think would be really valuable for other people to hear and really jazz them up?
I have a ton on my website, but one that like
Hmm.
I love a lot, and I can actually share this because there's a video, is a case study on my website where I have permission. I was working with an individual named Adam Broda. He's very big on LinkedIn, but he worked at Boeing for 7 years, and then now worked at Amazon, and he comes from like an electrical mechanical engineer and project management background, and um, always wanted to do coaching. He's just passionate about people development, has a track record of being a great manager, like just loves coaching. But he makes really good money at Amazon, right? And so he was like getting to a point where he was burned out. He has 2 little kids at home. He wanted to spend more time with them. And I remember when we started working with him, he was making the year before working with us, he was making less than $30,000 the whole year, like the whole year. So he obviously wasn't nowhere near the multiple six figures that he was making at Amazon. And when he came in, he just implemented really well, executed really well, like project management engineer, just saw like a project and just tune. And less than a year, so we started working January. By the first week of December, he had officially put his resignation in Amazon, and now he's doing this full time. And obviously, it was such a rewarding thing because like I see the success that his clients are getting, and so just the ripple effect that we were able to have because he could do this full time. He could spend more time with his kids and his wife. Like that's exactly why we do this kind of things.
That's a great story. So let me ask you a question that I didn't prepare you for, which I didn't put out there in advance. How have you seen your own growth through helping other people grow?
I mean, massively. Like I learn so much every interaction, right? Of what's working, what's not working. I also learned that my way of doing things is not the only way of doing things. I think if I learn something of business is like I have a way that works, but there's also
Mhm.
an infinite amount of other possibilities that also work really, really well. And I think that the important thing is like finding what works for you and building a business that serves you versus you serve the business.
I love that. When you think about the clients you're looking for and that you're working with primarily, is there a particular coaching category?
We do most of our clients are career coaches. So people that
Okay,
help people get jobs, people help people get promoted, executive coaching, but it's all mainly more on a very clear transition. We found that the clearer, the more the transition, the easier it is to sell B2C, not necessarily B2B. We specialize in B2C. So if you're
great.
like, Daniel, how do we get corporate clients? I'll be like, I don't know. Talk to Leslie. I don't know. I don't know.
But the B2C really works for you. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that jobs transition, someone who is, might have a strong resume and interview business. It could be someone who maybe is in that transition space of the first 180 days in a new job, something
Mhm.
like that. Okay. So really in the career space.
Like clarity
Excellent.
coach, pivot coach. We have a lot of coaches that are like helping people pivot from one industry to another. Like,
Okay.
yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you for joining me today. So as we wrap up, how do you want people to reach you? What's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
The best way is LinkedIn. They can just
Okay.
message me on LinkedIn, but Daniel Botero on LinkedIn, I will appear and we can connect and we can have a conversation.
Okay, great. I will make sure I put your LinkedIn link right in the show notes, as well as I'll go ahead and put the opny.com in.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay. Daniel, thanks for joining me today, and I look forward to staying in touch again. We'll see what's next. All right.
Thank you for having me. You're awesome.
Take care.
Bye.
So are you, my friend.
Thank you so much for joining us today for Coaching in a Cuppa. We hope you enjoyed this conversation. You can listen to other coaching conversations at getcourageous.com/cuppa. Have a great day.